Welcome to Yarn Lane on the 20th of December. Gosh, I've been saying all morning on Sewing Street what the day was and I completely forgot. So today on Yarn Lane, as it's very nearly Christmas, we've got a selection of all the lovely, the nice kits that Hannah and I like really, and the tools that you will need that make things a lot easier. I'm going to go through a few gadgets and things basically that I really like that make my life a lot easier. Now the first one is the ball winder. We have sold two different sorts of ball winder, but this is by far the best. I absolutely love this. So the reason you need a ball winder, so I've got two balls of yarn here. When you get a ball of yarn, it's either in a hank or it's in a ball. Now, if it's in a hank, which means it's a long loop of yarn that's then twisted together, you have got to rewind it. If you knit or crochet from a hank, it'll get tangled and then you'll never get it undone. But I rewind my balls as well, because what I find is that all gets tangled, or as I'm knitting or crocheting, it's rolling across the lounge floor, I lose it, the dog picks it up, it goes all over the place, it gets dirty. Now with some balls of wool, you can put your fingers inside and pull out the end, but not always. It depends how they're wound and whether or not you can do it. So what I would suggest to start with is you put your hands inside, and if you can find the end easily, all well and good, start from there because it won't roll around as much. If you can't find it easily, you could end up with a big tangle. Just start with the end from here. Because what happens is when you start knitting crochet from the ball, it starts collapsing a bit and it does roll. Whereas if we wind it, it will sit. Now, if you have to pick it up from the outside, while you're winding, it is going to roll around. So the best thing to do is these ball winders come in a box. Put the ball in the box. I haven't got the box because the box is over there somewhere, so I'm just going to put mine on the floor. But put it in a box to start with. Then you get this little loopy thing here. That's just the yarn guide. So loop it around so it goes through there. Then it's really important that this is the end that you're going to start knitting or crocheting with. So you need to keep hold of it, because if it gets lost, goes inside, you can't use it. So I always tie a knot in mine. Everyone does it slightly differently, but it helps me to find it at the end, because that's an important thing. You can cut that off afterwards. And then on the top of the ball winder is a little slot. You put it through the slot. Now you start winding the handle. Just keep hold of this little loop while you start winding to start with. You need to get it going. Once it gets going, it's easy, but so you've always got to hold on for it for a little bit. Only a few twists. It's a few twists and then that's all. Then I sort of tuck it into the top a bit to keep it out of the way. Now it's important to keep this end slightly under tension, not tight, just, you don't want it falling down. Just keep it sort of horizontal and slightly under tension, and then just wind like this. Now you can go really fast. Now obviously I said before that there is another ball winder we sell. I don't know whether we've got them in stock, but this one is quicker, smoother. It will fit onto more surfaces. It's made from beechwood. It's £87.99, but honestly, it is, you never ever have to replace it. The only thing that you will ever have to replace is the rubber band on here. You might have to replace. What they suggest is when you're not in use, just unloosen the rubber band, which means you just flick it off the end of here. You put it back on. Knit Pro, who make these, they do sell replacement ones, but you know, I've had mine for a while. I've not had to replace mine. That's the only thing to go on. They're made from beechwood. They are beautiful. You can even clamp them, because what I do, onto a kitchen work surface. So you can see mine wobbling around a bit, so it's not clamped properly. But they should be clamped, because once you get going, then you can make you get a lovely ball. I tell you what's interesting is once you start doing this, everyone in your house wants to do it. In fact, when we first got these into the office, I did it. Neil came along and he started winding it. Everybody loves using these because it's just like a beautiful piece of engineering that just winds and winds and winds. Now, if you've got a hank, then you will need to rewind your hank. Obviously, it's not a ball. You can't have the hank rolling around the floor. You either have to get someone to hold the hank or you'll need a Swift. Now we've got Swifts. I've got one of those on my desk. I'm not going to demonstrate how to put it on the hair, on the Swift. Now, there are only 3 of these beautiful ball winders in stock at the moment. I mean, they are gorgeous. Now, if you want to shop with us, you need to go on to www.yarnlane.com. If you already shop with Sewing Street and you already have an account with Sewing Street, the same number will apply. Now, if you know anyone who loves knitting and crochet, or you love knitting and crochet, this will make a big difference. I mean, I know it's a considered investment. So can you see in the bottom right-hand corner, the QR code says shop now on it. If you put your phone up to that and scan it, put your phone on camera and then hold it over there, that will take you straight to the page to buy it. Saves you all the trouble. But I had the cheaper, the less expensive ball winder, and then I got this one because I just wanted to see, and honestly, it's just wonderful. I've nearly finished now. I mean, if I'd actually clamped this a bit harder and not done it, then I could have gone faster and this would have been done. But before I do any knitting and crochet, I always pre-wind. But let me show you slowly. Look how what's happening is, I mean, you only have to hold it like that, is that because this is on an angle, it twists it round, but because it's on an angle and then on another angle, it actually winds it evenly round so that it's not winding just in one way. If I do it really slowly, can you see what I mean? Anyway, I nearly finished. I'm gonna have yeah, we'll have to do something with this one now. But even, it doesn't matter, doesn't have to be 100% wool, 100% cotton, doesn't have to be acrylic. With this beach one, it makes quite a difference that with the normal one, there are only certain weights of yarn you can use. With this one, you can, do chunkies and super chunkies. Right, I'm nearly finished this one. I'll just break the end. Yeah, I'm going to... Right, so if you want to shop with us, I've nearly finished it now. So if we've got loads on today's show, but I wanted to wind a whole ball for you, go on to www.yarnlane.com, click on Watch Live and scroll down. Then you can see all the items that I've got. I've got a whole mixture of books, tools, kits, equipment, lovely, lovely things, all for you. If you scroll down, if you want to shop ahead and you want to get hold of it, there's the Swift that I was talking about. It's all on there, and I'll be going through it all with you in a moment. Yeah? Right, then when you've finished winding, all you have to do, so you've got the end, because I put a knot in it and I know where it is now, is pop your fingers, let me just take, yeah, I have got it, there we go, pull that off and look at that. It's like a cake, like a little cake. And where's I put my knot? There's my knotted end. When I then come to knit and crochet with this, I can pull it out as I'm knitting and the ball is not moving, which makes life so much easier because it doesn't roll around. You keep it next to you, it keeps it clean, keeps it neat. If you want to store any of your yarn, you can wind all of your balls to the same size and shape, much easier to store. And look, nothing moves. And you could put them in the, I'm going to release this. I'm going to just release that so it's out of my way a moment. Yeah, so if you wanted to store it now, or if you are knitting or you're knitting on the go, gorgeous yarn bag. And the fab thing about this, it's got a hole in. Put your beautifully new wound cake in here. Put the yarn through the hole. There we go. Do it up. And there you go. Now, this won't work as well with a normal ball because the ball will want to revolve and it won't be able to, and it'll get caught every now and then. Whereas with a cake, I mean, it does work with a ball, so you can use it for that, but it works a lot better with a cake. And look, there we go. It's beautiful. So on the bag, look, yarn holder, knit and purl. It's got loads of different balls with knitting needles. Question from Carol. How big do the yarn cakes go up to? Does it go up to 400 grams? I've never done 400 grams, so I don't know. I have done 200 grams. All I would say is that after a while, once you work all the way through, the center of it might sometimes collapse, and then I have often rewound them. So I'm not sure I would wind 400 grams. Give it a go, but if not, split them and do two. I've wound 200 grams, but I've never tried up to 400 grams, but it might do. But you try it, you'll soon find out. I mean, but it is, you know, there's nothing that can go wrong on it. It's just a beautiful piece of engineering. But isn't this a lovely bag? Love that. Love that. Keeps it all clean, keeps it tidy. I mean, and this is great. And on the inside, you've got a knitting pattern, so you can keep your crochet hook or your pattern or your other things in here. $13.39. Really, really useful for knitting or crocheting on the go, on the train even. Shall we do needles next? Needles. Now, I love a set of needles and a lovely set of crochet hooks, because, you know, when you're doing your tension and it says, right, you need 4mm needles, you may need to go up or down, and then you scrabble through your set and you can't find the 3.5 or the 4.25. Then we have got 4 sets, and I made sure these are all the same. They're all Knit Pro Zing. So if you knit and you crochet or whatever, they will all go together. So I've got 2 different sizes. Now I've got 30 centimetres, so they're exactly the same. These are the 30 centimetre. So the 30 are for smaller garments, hats, scarves, gloves, I mean jumpers, depends on how much you're knitting. But some people prefer shorter ones, some people prefer longer ones, but it's a really good time of year, isn't it, to get all of your basics. If your knitting needle set is a bit of a mess, treat yourself. Now, the beautiful thing about the Knit Pro Zing is they're aluminium, they're really light, so they don't cause any problems. They're not heavy needles, but they are all colour coded, so each needle size is a different colour. It's also written on it, so you've got 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5 and 6, but they're also colour coded, so they're easier to see as well. They're ever so light, and the points are very, very smooth, so they won't catch on your yarn. Even if you're using like eyelash yarn or speciality yarn, they won't catch. And they all come in this beautiful zip case. So if your knitting needle collection is a bit of a mess and a bit random, treat yourself. $39.99, and you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pairs of beautiful Knit Pro. I love Knit Pro. They are fantastic, great quality brand. The wool winder I was just using was Knit Pro. So that's your 30 centimetre. Exactly the same, but 40 centimetres. So if you knit longer garments, or maybe you're a pit knitter, you have to have your needles under your armpit, then you'll need these. So again, exactly the same sizes. You've got 4 pairs. They're all colour coded, easily to see. Because well, I don't know what you like. I was crocheting with a hook the other day and I couldn't see the size of it. I had to get my camera out, my phone out, take a picture of it so I could enlarge it so I could actually read the size, which is ridiculous. However, these are colour coded. So those are the 40 centimetres ones. So exactly the same, just depends on what size you want. But I love the way, look, that they're in this beautiful navy and red, lovely zip all the way around them. It's so neat, isn't it? And also, by having them, keeping them in here, the needles won't bend. It keeps them nice and straight. So that's the 30 and the 40. Now, circular. I love the Interchangeable Deluxe set so much that I have one of my own. I love it so much that I have one of my own, because we first had it on Yarn Lane and I thought, I wonder what that is. This is just the best. So if you like circular knitting, or you like straight knitting but on circulars, just because you prefer to hold your knitting on a cable so that it hangs loose on the cable rather than on the length of the needle, but you don't want to, like I have got loads of sets of circulars, fixed ones. So because with circular knitting, you obviously got the different size points, but you've also got the different length cable. So if you have fixed circular needles, you need to have the right points with the right length of the cable. With this interchangeable set, you can change them with the cable length. So if you take the cables out, and there's instructions as well how to do it, you've got all the fixes. So you've got different length cables, and then all you have to do, let me take one set out. So say I want to have this shorter set, that's colour coded again, but I want to use 8mm needles, but I want a 40cm cable. All you have to do is screw those onto there, and now you've got a 40cm cable with 8mm ends. But say you want a 40cm cable with 3.5mm ends, you just tie those on. It also comes with caps. So if you have done some knitting, but you haven't finished, but you want those ends points for something else, you can put the caps on, and then it holds it all together. It also comes with a special, once you've wound them on, you really don't want them to come on, so it comes up with a special little locking key to make them really tight. And what I've also discovered, there is the set here that starts at 3.5 and goes all the way up to 8mm, is that Knit Pro also sell separately these ends in different sizes. So I wanted some 2.5mm ends. I wanted all of those, but I also wanted some 2.5mm because I was doing some socks. But you can buy those separately. So it's a fantastic set, and you can also buy more cables if you go onto their website. So in the interchangeable set, you get the basic ends and you get all the cables. But if for some reason you want a more specialist end or specialist cable, you can get those. And isn't it lovely? I mean, I keep mine all in its set like this, and it's so nice that I don't have to anymore think, oh, well, I've got a 7mm 40cm cable, but I haven't got a 7mm 60. It's all in here. And I've started doing a lot of straight knitting on circulars. So I don't go round and round and round. I knit to one end and come back on the other. So if you're knitting something like a blanket that may be a bit heavier, or the back of a sweater, if you knit it on circular needles, you just knit to one end and then knit back. You don't keep going round. It means the knitting is sitting on your lap rather than in your hands, so it's not as heavy. But I love my Interchangeable Deluxe set. And then my other little, because I bought the 2.5mm ends, I pop them into the zip part as well, honestly. And I just keep them on the shelf, and they look lovely. Also, I have these as well. Just saying. There might be a slight coincidence in the fact that I chose these because I like them and then we stock them, but they are brilliant. So, set of crochet hooks in the same, and obviously if you knit and you crochet, well, you'll get used to the colours because they use the same colours. But this starts at 3mm, no 2mm, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. I'll show you the 6. And they are, again, they're aluminium, so they're very light, they're colour coded, they're very, very smooth, but they are really nice for crocheting with. They've got a nice hold to them, nice feel, and I find on the Knit Pro crochet hooks, the points are quite sharp. Well, not sharp as in they cut your fingers, but they're quite sharp as in you can really crochet with, you can pick up the stitches with them. And they're in this little zip case as well. So 2mm to 6mm. Now, obviously, if you've got other crochet hooks and you want to keep them together, you can pop some in just loose on this side. And I know because I've done that with mine, because I have got other crochet hooks, obviously. So I just pop them in there and then I zip it all up. Put it on my shelf. Put it on my shelf. Lovely. So I don't have those two. I don't have everything, but I do have these two sets and I absolutely love them. The little plastic hat, little gadget. This is a brilliant gadget. So, you know when you don't know what size your needles are because you can't read them, yeah? You pop them through the holes of the plastic hat. I love Clover because Clover create brilliant gadgets. There we go. So they will measure your needle sizes. So if you've got some needles and you don't know what size they are, then you just pop them through here and they will go through, and it's just like a little bobble hat. Only $3.99, but really, if you don't know what needle size you've got, this is the only way you're going to tell. I love the way that they've got the 13 mil is the hole in the bobble hat. So you start at 2 mil. What they've done is they've put it in mils, but they've also put it into, I think it's US sizes, but they've US size 0 to 19 metric, yeah, so that's US sizes. So it starts at 2 mil and goes all the way up to 15 mil. And it has a little measurer at the bottom. Nice little gadget, very simple, but brilliant. There we go. Lovely, lovely little gadget. I'm going to go do yarn bobbins next because these are fab. Every time. Now, the first person who told me about getting these was Denny from I Knit Designs. So if you've watched Yarn Lane before and you've seen Denny, she designs beautiful sheep jumpers and cushions and blankets and children's jumpers. So if you're doing Fair Isle or Intarsia, and you need to have lots of little bits of yarn, rather than getting them all knotted up, if you wind one of these bobbins with a small piece of yarn, so maybe you've got to knit 4 green stitches, 3 blue, 2 pink, 1 white, 4 green, and you don't want to get them all tangled up. If you wind the little lengths of yarn around the bobbins, then when you finish, they're much easier to untangle, and then they just stay around these. Every time we put them on air, they sell out. So in this pack, only $1.99, you get 10 fish. So that's 10 different colours. And that makes knitting colour changing so much easier because you can just wind the small amounts of this. And because they're heavier plastic, they're much easier. They don't get all tangled up. So that's the fish. And then we also do they do the same thing. Just depends whether you want rectangles or fish. Same size, just depends whether you want rectangles or fish. $1.49, and there are 6. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, there's 10. There's 10 there. 10. Just depends whether you want rectangles or fish. But they are brilliant. If you do Fair Isle or Intarsia, it will make a big difference if you have yarn bobbins. It's just simpler, that's all. Right, let me show the Swift. So, you know what I was saying to you earlier, if you are working with hanks, then you must wind. You must. You can't knit or crochet from a hank. It will get all knotted and then you will just waste your yarn. So it looks like this. It looks a bit like an umbrella. So in the old days, I bet you all remember, don't you? I remember your mum or your grandma doing this. You'd get your granddad sitting in the corner with his hands apart like this, and he'd have his hands inside the hank, and she'd be winding the ball from it. If you haven't got anyone to do that for you, or if you want it to be done a bit neater, use a Swift. It's like a wooden umbrella. You open it up. Unfortunately, I don't have a hank. I found lots of balls of yarn. I didn't have a hank in the studio, so I couldn't show you. You really need a hank, and I didn't have one. You open it up to fit the hank. It holds it like that, but like an umbrella, but in a circle, so rather than like this. And attach it to your ball winder, and then you simply wind your ball winder in the same way as I just showed you. The yarn comes off the Swift round the ball winder, and you've got a ball of yarn within 5 minutes. And it's also neat because the problem is mostly hanks are usually the more expensive yarn, so the hand-dyed or the pure wool, that sort of thing. They don't tend to be hanks of acrylic yarn, and therefore it can stretch. So it's very important that when you rewind a hank, you don't stretch it, that you keep it to the same, because you don't really want to be stretching the wool out of shape. Using a Swift and a ball winder will avoid that. $54.99, and honestly, watching the Swift and the ball winder in action, if I'd had a hank I'd have shown you, is a thing of beauty. So you don't need both together. You can have either. Obviously it works really well together, but if you want to be able to rewind a hank on your own, you will need a Swift, because the back of a chair doesn't work as well. Right, blocking. Now, we've been having a big discussion on the Yarn Lane Mystery Christmas cowl about, which is now finished. Well done to everybody in my lovely Yarn Lane Mystery Christmas cowl group, just got to do a quick mention. I have loved seeing the photos of your finished blankets. It has been an absolute pleasure working with over 200 of you for the last 8 weeks. Made their beautiful blankets, got mine over the back of the sofa. They are amazing. Some of you have started as absolute beginners and have finished with a beautiful blanket. I think we still have a few of the kits left. So if you want to make a Christmas blanket, clearly probably not in time for this year, but maybe next year, go onto the website and you will find them. And then all the instructions on the Facebook page, which I'm keeping open because you're such a wonderful, helpful community of ladies out there and men who have made this beautiful blanket. So I'm keeping the Facebook page open. So if anybody wants to join in and see the beautiful blankets, honestly, I'm amazed. Some of you've made cushions as well and brooches, all sorts of things. Even somebody made a fiddle cushion the other day. Anyway, thank you so much. Big shout out to Jan Hill and Smoffy O'Leary, finally, for being the best help on the group ever. Loving you. But blocking, we've had a long conversation about blocking. Should you to block or not to block? So I always block everything, but I think that's because I'm just a bit overzealous about such things. I think we all agreed in the end, if you're using cotton or wool, then you need to block after you've knitted or crocheted. With acrylic, you don't have to, and it's questionable whether you get a better finish you do. I always block whether it's acrylic, wool or yarn, just because I think I get slightly straighter edges and it just evens it out a bit. But with anything else, you do need to block. So if you're blocking a crochet or knitted square, you only need one of these. And what you do is you measure out the size. We have blocking pins, which are in here, and you push the blocking pins through your knitting or crochet onto here and it holds it in place. And then, so wet it, give it a quick spray or completely wet it and wrap it in a towel, depending on which method you prefer. Pin it out to shape, and you can just measure it with a ruler and leave it to dry, which shouldn't take too long, depending on the weather and how much you've wet it. However, if you're blocking something like a scarf or the back of a jumper, you're going to need more space, more. So this pack is brilliant. This is another item that I own. My house is full of knitting and crochet accessories, and I love this. So if you're doing a cushion, there you go, 4. You've got 4. You can use your blocking pins. They go through into the mat to hold it in place. You could use normal pins, but the blocking pins are better. Blocking pins, and they shall I open these, is that all right? Is it open? Yeah. Now I love these because they're rainbow colours for no reason at all other than that they're just nice rainbow colours. They don't need to be rainbow colours. So you've got little ones and big ones. So what you do, see, look at these. They're not best to keep them in the box. I mean, you know, they're not piercing my skin, but I think if you stab somebody that way, they'd hurt. So best to keep them in the box. Yes, they are very colourful and lovely. Please keep them away from children. But these are fab. So perfect to use with the blocking mats. But if you do all your blocking on your ironing board, which I used to, then great for that as well, because you've got all of those pins. So once you've pinned your square out, you could just push that through. That holds it in shape. So you've got all of these colourful ones, but you've got little ones as well. Depending on what you're blocking, you might not need all of those pins. So the reds and the yellows, you've got smaller ones. And then these, I mean, these are all the same. It's just that they're small or big, but aren't they lovely? Honestly, but these make it easier. So what I used to do, well, first of all, I didn't used to block. Then I realised that blocking brings something that you've knitted or crocheted back to the shape that it should be. You can also stretch it a little bit bigger. Don't go too big. You can't make it smaller. But you can straighten edges up. When you're then sewing your pieces together, so if you're sewing your jumper together, the sleeves together, the front and the back together, blocking it makes a big difference. So I used to use just pins into my ironing board. Then my ironing board wasn't big enough, so I've got these mats and I use pins into the mats, but that's not as, they take ages then to undo. But when you've got like all of these in one go, much quicker. So that's 4, that's good for a cushion. But if you were doing like a jumper back or a shawl or something like that, you need them more. and they just all join together like jigsaws. So you get 9 in here, and yeah, they're 30 centimetres square. But they are absolutely brilliant. So you can join all of those together. So if you're doing, it's one of those things that as you get more into it, you realise you try sewing something together in knitting and crochet. If you haven't blocked it, you will get a much neater finish. And I guess we do the blocking boards, but they're used more for squares. Well, they're only used for squares. This is better if you're doing bigger things or things that are regular shapes. Whoa. Right. We've also got, now this is a bit more specialist, lace blocking wires. Right, so inside here, do you want me to open them? We've always been too scared. We might lose all of them. Now, I bought these. I love somebody say I bought these. I didn't personally buy these. I ordered these of Anna Canales. So Anna Canales designs beautiful lace, knitted lace shawls. And I talked about so we've talked about blocking straight, because obviously we're blocking jumpers and things, but what if you've done a shawl that's curved? Or what if you've got a sleeve that's slightly curved? Oh, I wonder if that's, no, that would be I thought that was something important then. How do you block that? Well, you use lace wires. So in the tube, and they all come in a tube, which is fantastic, because otherwise you don't want to get them bent. Where are you going to store them? But they all come in a great tube. So in the tube, you get short ones and long ones, and you also get T-pins, which look like this. Okay, these can be used instead of these pins. You can use these. These will go into the blocking mats. Like that, see? So if you want to, I wonder if I can take out one small one. Say you're blocking a shawl and it hasn't got straight edges, it's slightly curved. You can thread this through the very end of the knitting, the very last bit, bend it to the shape you want, and then pin it. It's obviously easy if you're doing it. You can then pin it all the way through using the T-pins, and you can bend it to the shape you want. So maybe you've knitted like a raglan sleeve that's got a slight curve to it. These pins and then the blocking wires will hold it into shape. Or you've done a tea cosy. But how otherwise are you going to get particularly something like a shawl, and maybe you've knitted it in floor ply or lace weight. You spent a long time doing it, and to block it and to get it exactly the right shape, you need the lace blocking wires. Even comes with a tape measure as well, quite handy, because then you can measure it all out. And the T-pins that show you exactly how to do it, and it's all inside here. And also in there, if I can get it right out, is a little instruction leaflet of how they work inside, of how you block them and how it all works. But they are great, and Anakin, who specialises her design in shawls, she recommended these. Right, I'm going to move set to, I've got loads of kits. Yes, so I've got them all here. Now, Sam Sabido from Adventures in Crafting designed, well, she started with the winter wreath actually. Now I've put together a multi-pack. So she started last year in, I think, November, and designed the Christmas wreath, the winter wreath, which is in the top left. Then we did the spring wreath. I've got that one on my kitchen door. Then did the summer wreath, and then the autumn wreath. And she did a complete kit for all of them. Now in the kit you get the wicker or the wooden wreath, and they're all slightly different. And you get all of the cotton yarn to crochet all of the elements. So the birds, the nests, the flowers and everything. You get all the other bits you need. Like one of them's got a ribbon in. You've got eyes for I know on the spring one when I did that, there's eyes for the birds, there's the stuffing for the animals. So everything that you need is in that wreath. And they are lovely. I've got the spring one on the back of my kitchen door, and I've got all the other kits, just haven't quite finished them yet. But when I have, I'm going to swap them. So I've seen people who've put them like on a door inside or outside, and then you can swap them around, or you can, you know, have them in different areas of the house, have them all hung up together. So in this kit are all of the wreaths. So we did sell them separately, but we put them together in one big kit where you save £10 on buying them all as one big kit, which is lovely because if you make one, you need to be making all four. The good thing about the fact that they are £129.99 is they're on split pay. So if you'd love to have these wreaths, and honestly, they are beautiful. I'll show you just for one example, like I'll show you the autumn wreath so you can see what you get in the kit. I'm not going to open them all with you all day. So in the autumn wreath kit, you get a little bit of space. Right, you get the lovely wicker wreath. You get a bag of stuffing. Oh, now I've lost which bag. Oh, there it is. That's the bag I was in. They all come as well in a lovely canvas bag, which is quite nice. Full instructions, exactly how to do it. And you get all of the cotton yarn for making all the pieces. But you also get, this is lovely, you get like a little bag that's got the extra bits in. So this one has got the owl's eyes in it and all the yarn that you need. So everything that you need to create each of the wreaths is in the bag, and the full instructions. If you have a look on YouTube, you can go and have a look, find the day. If you put in Adventures in Crafting Yarn Lane, you'll find the day that Sam demonstrated them if you want some more info. But they are beautiful, they are charming. I have a lot of compliments about mine. I must get on and make the others, just a bit busy. So you can have two equal payments of £64.99. That's interest free. It's just a way of you spreading the payments. So you get charged £64.99 now, you'll get sent all four kits. Then in January, the other £64.99. It's just, but it's up to you. You don't have to do split pay. Lovely one to start in the new year because you've got all of them. You could start with the spring and move all the way through, and then you could hang them all together or keep swapping them round. I can't really decide which one I like the most. So when we did this bundle once before, it completely sold out, so we had to redo it. And it all started because when Sam first came on air, just a couple of weeks after actually the week after Yarn Lane was launched, she designed the winter wreath. And it was so popular and you loved it so much, so we've got to do another one. So we just kept going. So if you want to buy all of them, and we haven't got that many left, and she's not going to, because Sam creates these kits for us from all little bits and pieces, and she has to source the wreaths and takes ages. I'm not sure, I don't think we will do them again. So when these have gone, they really are gone. Yeah, because she's got far too many ideas to be revisiting old ones. Let's talk truffle yarn next. So we had a show with truffle cardigans, hats, scarves and everything. Unfortunately, I've had to send all the hat and scarves back to the wonderful Yarn Lane knitters, and you know who you are, because I promised they could have them back for Christmas. So I don't have the examples, but I do have one of the jumpers. I must send this back to King Cole because I borrowed it off them. This is one of the jumpers. So this is what the truffle yarn looks like when it's knitted up. It's soft, and I mean, it doesn't even look like knitting, does it? It looks like fabric, but it is knitting. Even on the other side, look, it doesn't look like knitting, but it's soft and furry and gorgeous. So this is what it looks like when it's knitted up. I don't actually have the samples of the hats and scarves because the knitters had them back, which is fair enough. So in this kit, this is the salted caramel, and it makes the salted caramel hat and scarf. So the white hat there and the cowl there, I think that's which one it is. Which one have you got there? Yes, so it's the hat and oh no, it's the scarf, this one. So this scarf here, it makes that one. I have got it in a hat and scarf, confusingly. So in the kit is the 2 balls of salted caramel truffle yarn, which looks like this, and the pattern, and it makes the scarf. But the good thing is in the pattern, you also get all the patterns to make that hat, the scarf that you've got the yarn for, the hat and cowl there, and the cowl. So you get all of those patterns in the pattern piece, but you just get the yarn to do the scarf. and it is the softest, loveliest thing. And quick to knit up, but really soft. It looks like, well, you can see, because this is the same colour. So the scarf will be this lovely salted caramel colour. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Right. So next we have, this is the coconut truffle. I love this one. So in the coconut truffle kit, you get the pattern again, but you get coconut yarn this time, which is very bright white. And you've got enough yarn to knit this hat and that cowl. And they are so soft. So if you know anyone who has slight allergies, who will find wool itchy or acrylic scratchy, then this is just beautiful because it is so soft. And again, you get the pattern to make all items, but the yarn will make the hat and the cowl. But they are lovely. So that's that one. Then we've got cookie dough. So same as the salted caramel, this one knits that scarf, but actually in that colour. So it's called cookie dough because that's the colour of cookie dough. So that is actually the colour of that scarf there. So you get the pattern, you get the 2 balls of the truffle yarn that will actually knit that scarf, which is, I quite like it because it looks like a slightly ribbed effect. Remember when we saw it, when it came in? But it's just so soft and lovely. £11.99, and then you've got the pattern to knit all of these as well. Because the final one I've got is to knit interesting, slightly different. Yeah, this one is slightly different. It's a bit unusual really, because you get a mixture of merino blend and the truffle yarn. So this kit knits this hat and this scarf. Now can you see the edge is the body is in the truffle, in this lovely rum raisin, and the rib on the cowl and the hat is just this merino blend yarn. So you can knit, so with this you can knit, in that picture you can knit the hat and the cowl, but they have just that little edge of the merino, so it just gives it a slightly different finish. Very classy though, isn't it? I just think £19.99 for a hat and a cowl knitted in this beautiful truffle and then edged in the merino blend. It's gorgeous. I thought these might be quite nice sort of quick winter projects to make for yourself or for someone else even. Yes, I'm just going to move those because I've got so much stuff. And more. Right, let's move on to Anna. Now, I love this. So this is Anna Nikiforovich's Zigzag cowl. Now, it's knitted in ripple stitch. So if you watch Sam's ripple stitch jumper show on Wednesday last week, this is crochet. Sorry, not knitted, crochet. These, this was demonstrated on the 27th of November. So this is her beautiful zigzag cowl, which is crocheted in ripple stitch, but it's beautiful, isn't it? It's fun, it's bright, it's really interesting to work as well. It's not just lines and lines and lines, and it is all worked in West Yorkshire Spinners pure wool Colour Lab DK, which if you've ever worked with West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, you will know is beautiful to work with. It's pure 100% British wool, but the colours are fantastic. I'm always amazed how they managed to get this. So in the cowl, you've got 1 ball of grey. I've got to remember the names of the colours now. Bottle green, electric blue, perfectly plum, and coral crush. So those are the colours, and then you also obviously get the pattern to make the zigzag cowl. And there's Anna wearing it. The colours on the picture are slightly different to here because that's the original one that she made. These are the colours you'll get. So if you love crochet, you want to have a go at this, re-watch the show. It's in the ripple stitch. It's lovely to work. And you will have the most beautiful, quite exclusive, almost designer item. 27th of November. Have a look, write that down if you buy the kit. If you fancy a snowman tea cosy, if you fancy a snowman tea cosy, Isn't that brilliant? That's great. Actually, I'm thinking now, is that what's... that might not be the Snowman Tea Cozy. It's what you get. Sorry, I'm really confused. What you get in the kit is the booklet. And then I looked at that and went, oh, it's the Snowman. Now, you get the Christmas Knits book 1, but in it are lots of patterns for all of these different things. So in the book, I think it's about 8 patterns. So you get Advent Garland, you get the wreath, the Snowman Tea Cozy, the Santa Tea Cozy, the stockings. I'm going to work out which one it is in a minute. I think it might be the stockings, actually. The Santa hat, baubles, knitted baubles, aren't they great? Merry Christmas bunting, hot water bottle covers. I love these. The wine bottle sweaters. I think you might be right. I love these. Well, when I was choosing these, yeah, I think it was really hard trying to work out which. I wanted to get one kit from each booklet, and I thought, well, you know, everyone buys someone a bottle of wine for Christmas. How do you wrap it up? You knitted a jumper, obviously. Love that. So if you want to get ahead for next Christmas, then you've got all of the yarn to make that. But not only that, you get the booklet that makes all of these things, and they're all adorable. I absolutely love the Advent Garland. But, you know, they don't have to be Christmas jumpers, do they? You know, we do buy bottles of gin and whiskey and wine and beer for birthdays and all times. You can just knit somebody a stripy jumper. That's not necessarily Christmassy, is it? For their gin. Who wouldn't want a stripy jumper on that? I love the Advent Garland. Now, I know it was reasonably quick to knit, but what a good idea to get started with it. I don't know whether you saw it when we had it. It was because we had it knit. One of our lovely knitters made it for us, and the whole garland with all the mittens and stockings, and then you put a little gift in each one. It's the sort of thing every year you think, oh, I'm going to make that, and you never get round to it. Well, get it now and then you can. Shall we do... Love that one. Yes. Let me get this one. Love the Stylecraft kits. These are on the 12th of November. Really enjoyed choosing these because this is a brand new, well, was when we did it on 12th of November, brand new pattern, a new yarn from Stylecraft. Now, the great thing is the pattern includes the instructions for making either the round neck cardigan or the V-neck, both with the lacy sleeves, and there's enough yarn to do either. This kit is the grey one. Well, it's called Smoke, but this is recycled yarn. So Stylecraft are getting a lot more into, new yarns, but realising that actually it's really important. This is what people want. They want recycled things. We need to reuse. We can't keep buying new stuff. We've either got to reuse or we've got to recycle. So they've created this yarn called Recreate, and it is 100% recycled yarn. But it's got this, it's grey with this slight fleck in it. It is 40% wool, 30% acrylic and 30% polyester, and all of it is recycled. So you've got the strength and the softness of the wool, but you've got this flexibility and soft of the acrylic and the polyester. So it is beautiful, it wears beautifully, but also because of the yarn mixture, it creates really good stitch definition. So when you're knitting a lace pattern like you have on the sleeves, it looks beautiful. So is there a bigger, there's the bigger picture. So that's what this one will create, and you can either do the round neck. So I think $22.99 you get 500 grams of this beautiful recycled yarn on this lovely smoke grey with a nice lace on the sleeve, but it's lovely. I mean, that's, you can see it bigger there, that's a different colour, but you just choose the net, but it's just a really pretty, because sleeves can be a bit boring to knit, can't they? So you've just got that really pretty element down there, and it chooses, and you've got 2 sleeve designs as well. So you can choose which type of sleeve you do, and there's enough yarn in here for 32 to a 50-inch bust. So that's a really nice size range. Clearly, if you're 32 inch, you won't need as much yarn as that. But for $22.99, that will fit up to a 50-inch bust. Nice kit. Quite like that one myself. What should we do next? Oh, we've got the book that Hannah's... What's it called, Hannah, the book you really like? Oh, this one. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do 2 books before we finished. Pick one each. I've decided mine already. Yeah. So Hannah likes this. This is, this, if you want some lovely ideas for knitting, I'm going to go backwards. It's got loads of, it's got loads and loads of techniques. We haven't got long, so I'm going to do it quick. But the, look at the patterns in it. I mean, they are gorgeous. Let me find the pictures. Jackets and coats. I mean, the patterns, they are like, I love this one. Where's the picture of that one called Heartsease? Actually, I think all the pictures of the front. Yeah, I just remembered. No, I wasn't. I forgot that. Look at these. I mean, if you want, I think, you know, for £13.49, you've got all of these beautiful, I mean, like, these are the sort of things that would cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I absolutely love that cardigan. But look at this little top. Gorgeous. You're saving 30% on this book. I mean, that's lovely. Not sure when I'd wear it, but I appreciate it. And that little vest top, I mean, I would wear that over a t-shirt, to be honest. I wouldn't want my arms out. But isn't that beautiful? And this, I mean, I would buy it just for that, because I think that this little, I love little tops like this. You can wear them over a long sleeve top in the spring and the autumn. Because they've got a sleeve, you can wear it in the springer. There we go. Isn't that lovely? It's absolutely gorgeous. And look at this one. It's got rosebuds on it. I mean, there's so many things in here that I think I really want to make them. But I think what I'm going to make first is either this one, because I love a short sleeve top because you can layer it, or this red one here. I love that. Right, and I'm going to do my book last. Well, I love loads and loads of them, but I love crocheted cacti. In fact, that shouldn't say cacti. I have got 5 crochet cacti in my house because I kill most plants. I know I should say cacti. I've got them in little concrete pots and I've crocheted them and they look gorgeous. You even crochet the soil. And I've made them for loads of people as well and they just look lovely. So if you've done a little bit of crochet, you want to have a go at make something small, something quick, you don't want to make a garment, can I recommend you make one of these? £5.59 for the book. Give you all the information you need to know. It even tells you the name of the cactus that you're going to be crocheting them. And I've got them all on the windowsill on my landing. And they just look lovely. And every now and then I give them a little dust. And that's it. So there we go. Gorgeous. It's been a pleasure to run through the favourites. Really nice that Hannah chose some. I chose some. So we've gone through our favourites. We've got loads more. We'll do another one because it's just lovely to show you. There are so many kits, books, tools, materials, so much on the website that sometimes you don't have time to have a look through. So that was just a pick of our favourites. It's been a pleasure being with you on Yarn Lane today. Can I say to you, have a very, very happy Christmas, but most of all, stay warm and eat lots of chocolate. And I will see you next week. I will be in on the 27th and the 28th of December. Happy Christmas.